Welcome everyone to another episode of the Warmup. I'm here with the guys. It's me, man. We got Memphis Chris, old classic Memphis Chris, KRL in the building. Mr. Undrafted, for some reason, he's here. So, we're here, guys. And say what's up. Say what's up to everyone who's listening to what you guys got to say.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody for coming in to tune in for me and Kev. Sorry we have to bring Chris along with us. It's kind of like a package deal, man. Sorry about that.
Man.
What's up, peoples?
Ain't no Jackson 5 without Michael, but you right.
And yeah, we're definitely Michael. You're like...
You said we're Michael? Okay. All right.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. You're like LaToya.
Wow. First of all, LaToya had a good album. So...
Name it. Name one song.
Name one song. It's not important. It's not important. It's not important what the song is.
You didn't even name a song off the album.
What's important is don't diminish the value that LaToya Jackson added to the entertainment.
To the Jackson 5?
To the entertainment business. She was not part of Jackson 5, obviously.
Okay, exactly.
So why'd you bring up LaToya Jackson then?
Because we're talking about the Jackson 5.
So why'd you bring up LaToya Jackson?
Because I said that's your importance, that's your relevance.
But she's not part of Jackson 5.
Exactly.
That's the point.
That's the point.
No, that is the point.
I think that was not his point. He just found a way to finagle his way into saying that because he could have said Janet, and I would be like, you know what, that makes sense.
No, not Janet. No, Janet had a nice career. I would not compare you to Janet.
But was not part of Jackson 5. So in that scope, it's irrelevant because she wasn't part of the group.
She had a nice career, LaToya.
Hey man,
that's you.
Okay, all right, that's fine. If this is your first time listening to us, sorry for the tangent. And we talk about sports, current events, and things of that nature through the lens of Black culture. And yeah, we're here every Wednesday until further notice. Like I said, good comment or good plug for ourselves. We're all going to probably be moving more to a broadcast style setup, and we're going to be maybe doing some more dailies instead of doing weeklies. So again, look out for that information once we find that finalized date to where we're going to start transitioning over and things like that. Also check us out on social media. We are on Instagram and Twitter, _warmup_pod, and we do have a Reddit at Grindhouse NTWK. That's just a username. So if you want to engage with us or talk to us or communicate with us through those platforms, go for it. And we also have a Discord for people to come in and talk about sports and non-related sport things in a safe environment. That's on Discord, and that is searchable as a domain at Grindhouse Network. And finally, we do have a TikTok, the.warmup.pod. So yeah, we all over the place, but yeah, you can find us wherever you get your social media plug from. So we also on YouTube, obviously. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Google, wherever you get your podcast your platform. Man, I'm just stumbling through this one today, man. He just messed me up already, man. So,
I know,
but yeah, man. Huh?
I didn't know it was that easy to knock you off your block, man.
I mean,
you gotta own your block.
It was. Usually I'm good, but every once in a while I do a little bit of a stumble. So I'm gonna blame you for it. That's kind of what I'm getting at. So just kind of let you know.
The lack of accountability.
It is what it is. It is what it is today. So, but yeah, man, we're here all over the place, all on the audio side, on the video side. Descriptions are going to be at all of the description boxes or in the bios of the respective platforms. So feel free to check us out, like, comment, and subscribe. If you like what you hear, give us 5 stars. All that stuff. Comment, I think, is also important. Any of that stuff is going to help us, get more eyes on us, help the algorithm push us up in their little algorithms for those respective platforms. And also, man, again, it's just we gotta have that feedback so we'll jostle with you. We'll say thank you, and if there's anything that you want us to critique or you guys feel like we're doing a bad job at, we're going to make sure that we take that into consideration as well and bring it back to the lab. So again, anything and everything is important, so feel free to do any of those things or everything if you like, and your little part helps us out a major lot. So anything else you want to add, Mr. Uncatchable or unguardable?
Hey, representing Miami, baby, because undrafted players, bro. And take care of business.
Okay. All right. Anything from you, Kev?
I'm just tired of hearing about undrafted players right now.
Ooh.
Like they're just players. That's all. They're just players. Their route was different, but like they can't stop highlighting those guys' route to the NBA. Is like, I don't know why. I don't get it anymore. In the beginning, okay, thank you for the information. Good to know. But it's like, man, every game they keep calling it out. It's like, leave me alone. I got here. I'm here. You gotta keep putting on blast how I got here.
Dang, man, I don't know how to feel. Now I want to change my name.
You good?
Gotcha.
You good, man. It's a commentator to keep harping on the storyline. It's like, we know, we got it. It's good TV.
Caleb Martin scored 28. Oh, guess what, guys? You know he was undrafted.
By the way, guys.
By the way, game shot. But you know he's undrafted.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, man, you guys don't like a good story, what it sounds like, man. He's just anyways. So,
Overtold. That's what it is. It's a good story that's overtold.
Gotcha. All right, man, but let's just get into the story. We're gonna talk about this story here that has no one talked about it this year. So it's gonna be brand new so far. Jokic versus Butler, NBA Finals MVP. We're gonna just get in here early. Who do we believe is going to be or should be the Finals MVP in this particular matchup? I mean, if you look at Jokic, man, he's averaging 24 points a game, and you know he's what 7 assists. Let me see real quick. Thought I had that up already.
That got skewed because of finals. That got skewed because of the last game, but he bumped that back up. He get that back up.
Oh, okay. So yeah, he's averaging at least over the postseason. He's averaging 30 points a game, 10 assists, and 12 rebounds. The guy's averaging a triple double so far. And I mean, Butler is not doing too much. You know, he's not too far behind as far as. Well, he actually is. He's further behind in stats per se, but I mean, the dude is still holding his own. 27 points a game, and you know, I don't know, 7 rebounds or 6 assists if you want to measure those up. But you know, at the end of the day, you know, it's all about the W. And Jimmy Butler's had more impressive W's than Jokic. So, but you know, I don't know. Like I said,
you think so?
Yeah, for real.
Well,
you know what? I can't. Yeah, no. Thinking about the teams that they went through. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for the introduction. It's an objection of yourself. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'll let you have that one.
Okay. Thank you. So, but yeah, man, we can talk about it, man. Who do you guys think is the best player so far in the NBA Finals, considering what we've seen through, you know, first couple of games or so? I'll start with you, Kev.
I think it's hands down Jokic.
Hands down.
In the first game, I think it's hands down. I mean, we obviously haven't really seen Butler showed up fully just yet. I think he's going to get more into the series as it progresses, but we haven't seen a Butler breakout game like how we had against the other opponents that they faced, and I still think that's coming. Whereas Jokic, the first game, still impacting the game left and right with his assist and the ability to rebound and just control the flow of the game and make it hard for Miami just in general. Even though they're not known for their defense, they're still finding it hard to really penetrate sometimes and get easy shots. We see Bam doing his thing. He was making a lot of those mid-range and hook shots, which is really good. When he's doing that, it opens up the game for everybody. But Jokic, I gotta say, hands down, man, like he's unbelievable. Last game, game 2, he got more into scoring. They keep talking about how after the end of that game, they're talking about how Miami made him a scorer, and I like how Eric Spoelstra shut that down, because I don't think it's that simple. And he said that's the untrained eye that would make that statement, and I totally agree with that, because I think it's an easy cop-out to say, okay, we went in here and we make Jokic a scorer. Jokic do what's necessary to win games, and in that game, it was necessary for him to take over at times and get some points up on the board, because Jamal Murray wasn't doing that well. His shooters weren't shooting that well. I think Porter was 2 for 8. It just wasn't flowing like all the other games were flowing. So he took it upon himself to put points up on the board. That's what he did. And the fact that he had a little bit less assists than normal, or 4 assists, which is drastically less than normal, I think was all part of him choosing what avenue of his game to contribute, given where they were in that situation. So with that said, I don't think that game put a dent in anything that he's been doing. And going back to Jimmy Butler, he hasn't put his stamp on it just yet. We've seen other players come in and contribute to really get the momentum going, with Duncan in the fourth quarter of last game, some timely threes, Gabe Vincent, and these other guys, even Kevin Love starting the game in game 2 made a difference. It just had a different flow to the game and a different energy profile. So Miami is again with this team sport kind of team player kind of thing, where a lot of people contribute. He's an easily the marquee guy right now in that whole squad. I think is a very much a team effort. And even so for the Denver, where Murray is doing his thing, I think Jokic still is the one that's shining beyond everybody else. So I'm gonna have to give it to him.
Okay, all right, Mr. Unmatchable, unguardable, what? Undrafted. There you go.
Undrafted, man. The storyline.
Yeah. Kev, I didn't know that Chris forgot how to read. I mean, he read it in the beginning of the pod, and now all of a sudden his skills.
It's a tough day. It's a tough day today for him, apparently.
Yeah, man. It was raining outside today. It was raining outside today. In June. It was raining outside. It's been a really weird day.
I loved it.
So
it's making you unwind right before our eyes. I agree with everything Kev said, man. An interesting fact about these series, everyone's talking about Miami's comeback in the fourth, because the Nuggets had the game through 3 quarters, right? In game 2. In the fourth quarter, they came back. Duncan Robinson came from nowhere with 10 points in like 5 or 6 minutes, right? Gabe Vincent was steady hand, and that defense came out of nowhere, right? But Miami outscored Denver in the fourth quarter of game 1 to the tune of 30-20 in game 1, right? And in game 2, 25-36. Miami's been doing this the entire playoffs. In the Boston series, it's like the dynasty Golden State had to knock out in the third. This Miami team, they come in the fourth, and they coming for your throat. So I like the whole team concept that Miami has. But as well as Miami played, we knew that Max Strauss wasn't going to go 0 for this game too, right? He could shoot. He came out, I think, with 3 or 4 threes, right? In the opening series. Jimmy Butler hit some. Kyle Lowry, everyone else is hitting. We know Miami's not going to continue to miss those threes. Defense was sound. I like the trying to match size with size. Denver is just a big team. Miami doesn't have that size anywhere on their roster. I did like the move that Spo did to put Kevin Love in there just to add more bulk to the front line to help Bam out. Because, man, I cannot think of his name. Zeller.
Oh,
yeah. Even with the magnificent goggles, man, he can't just size up for Joker, man. And everyone's saying that Miami, it's funny, Spo goes against the narrative that they chose to make Jokic the scorer. But on the flip side, when you're talking about defense of a star, you have to take away something, knowing that they're going to excel in the other areas. Miami stayed one-on-one coverage for the most part with Joker when they weren't in the zone. That's going to make him a scorer. And as we've seen in these playoffs, I think when he scores over 40, except for that Phoenix series, I think they lose. It's like playing with Joker's not a ball hog. He's not a ball hog by any means. But when we play street ball, you play with somebody that does not pass, it gets you out of your rhythm. You might not even shoot the ball, but you want to touch it. Let me remember what the ball feels like. Okay, can I hold it for a second? Yeah, okay, I'm gonna pass it back to you. If you don't get your shots in, you go cold. That's what happened with Denver. One of the things that happened with Denver. Outside of that, man, I don't think there's any, through 2 games and looking at their history in the playoffs, I don't think you can argue against Joker being the best player of this series. I think it's gonna be like what I talked about in the pre-pod when Golden State won. but LeBron's series was so beautiful and immaculate. There was an actual conversation of whether LeBron should win Finals MVP, and so they gave it to Iggy, which is like, we're not gonna give it to Steph. We're gonna give it to Iggy. So I think it's gonna be one of those. I think if Miami wins, it's gonna be a real argument on whether Joker shouldn't get the Finals MVP, which you know is not gonna happen. But so far through 2 games, Jimmy hasn't had that. His first rounds in the playoffs, he was unstoppable. But now he's fitting more to the team mode. The team needed him to be one thing, now the team needs him to be another thing. So, but to me, it's Joker. I mean, what do you do with him?
What do you do with him?
Yeah.
Well, obviously, apparently what you do is you just let him score. And I'm not saying they let him score, but, you know, at the end of the day, you know, if you look at the difference between game 1 and game 2, as far as the spread and just like the box score and all of those things, you know, the Nuggets were really, like, you have 2 people over 25 points, so 27-26, Murray and Jokic, which is probably going to be a bad recipe for you to actually win against them, with both of them getting off.
Game 2?
Game 1.
Oh, yeah.
Game 1. Aaron Gordon had 16 points. Michael Porter had 14 points. There were 5 people in double digits, and if you want to include Bruce Brown off the bench. That did not happen in game 2. Game 2 was Jokic 41 points. I think Jamal Murray had 19. I want to say
18.
18
and that came from those threes in the fourth quarter, because he was horrible before.
And then, but after that, it's 12 and 11 and single digits with everyone else. So, you know, at the end of the day, like, sometimes this is an old strategy that some people had for Michael Jordan back in the day, when with, you know, Utah Jazz, and what Utah Jazz's scheme was, let George score. He's going to have his points. He's going to have 30-something points, 40-something points. Shut everyone else down. Make sure everyone else has a hard time getting into a rhythm, because then it's going to come down. Because number one, George's not going to score all the points. There's just no players, unless you're, you know, Will Chamberlain's going to score all your points, right? So it's going to be really hard for one player to do that and sustain that across a series of 4 games or so, or 4 more games. So
you saw that with Booker and Durant. They couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's just really hard to sustain, almost impossible. So yeah, Jokic has some really good numbers. I think if he's going to say between Butler and Jokic, obviously Jokic, because again, you can always follow the numbers, you can follow on, you know, all the metrics and things like that. And I think, you know, if he's going from that standpoint, then I think that's a fair, what you guys were saying is fair. I agree. And honestly, I wouldn't even say Butler. The difference was the fact that Spoelstra made the adjustments, and Kevin, like, all of those small things that probably seem insignificant. Kevin Love starting, for example, just makes a big impact. Kyle Lowry being in the closing minutes, because I mean he's a championship guy on that team. So I think those things changes the dynamic of like how the game closes. And so yeah, I mean, you know, yeah, we haven't seen the Butler, we haven't seen that Butler magic happen yet. But I don't want to say that he doesn't have impact just because it doesn't show up in the box score, if that makes sense, right? So, you know, like I said, there's not one thing I could point to, oh, he did this or he did that, but I think just his presence and the fact that, you know, he doesn't let the game get too far away, and he doesn't, you know, he doesn't allow for the team on the floor to get so far lost in what's happening at the moment, to where the game gets away with them, gets away from them. The game 1 is supposed to happen, in my opinion. Game 1, you're at home, you had a 7 days rest, you know, come out, your legs are fresh, and you're playing at home in like a environment that is very unique, you know, in the NBA with respect to it being high altitude. You're used to it. You got the adrenaline running. You're gonna hit shots. It's supposed to fall your way, in my opinion. It's supposed to fall your way. 20 point game or something like that. Even if it came down to like what was it? 93 to 104. So I think the highest was like 25-point spread in the favor of Denver. It came back down to like, a 11-point game. And actually, I think they got it down to as low as 4 or something like that before it kind of ballooned back up. To me, that is not a good sign. But, like you mentioned.
Deja vu?
About
that's
what?
The same thing you said about Lakers.
Yeah.
When they had that 23-point lead on Lakers and the Lakers brought it back within almost a shot, you said not a good sign, and they went on to sweep them.
Yeah, you did. And still, to me, it's still not a good sign. It's just not a good sign. I gonna stand by that and continue to stand by that. Lakers had a different issue. They couldn't maintain it, but there's a lot of things I can point at to that. But I think that the Denver Nuggets, they have a tendency to fall asleep at the wheel, and that's not good if you can't close out games in the fourth quarter. So same thing happened game 2. They went up by 15. It chipped away in the second half. They got their first lead. The second lead. Miami blew it up to 15 points, and then they started trying to climb back. But I don't think Jimmy gonna let that thing slide. So he hit key shots. And the thing is, Jokic is whatever the team needs him to be. Butler is just like whatever it is whatever it takes for him to get to the W, he's gonna do it. And sometimes that means even if that means walking away from the coach and being like, I don't believe that I'm gonna he's gonna do what he needs to do. Jokic is gonna do what the team wants him to do, or feel like the team. I know that sounds very similar, but to me, this is like these intangibles. When do you hit that shot? When do you go ahead and call your own number? I don't think Jokic does that. Jokic is so cerebral. He's just going to find the best play try to find the best play every time. Sometimes you gotta be Kobe and be like, nah, I'm the best player at this point in time. We're 9 points away. I need to go and get 6 points real quick. So then it can, elevate the rest of the team. Jokic is like LeBron in that sense, like, oh, I'm gonna pass it to this person over here because he's open and he should hit that shot, and he misses a shot. And he's just like, well, I did the best play. So I know it's a convoluted answer. I would definitely, stats wise, numbers wise, Jokic hands down, no debate about that. But I just think as far as the impact of the game is subtle and it's so minute and splitting hairs as it is, I would prefer to go with Butler, but I think Butler has a better system, behind it with Spo, making some of those calls, and then him being able to flow within that as much as he needs to. So
I think Spo's a slept on great coach, man. Because you talk about the greats, you got Phil Jackson, you got Greg Popovich, right? Of course, Pat from back in the day. But here, I don't think Spo gets mentioned with the greats as much as he should. Think about what he's done with what he's had. Come on, man. Even with the LeBron years, that's a lot of egos. Bosh, LeBron, Wade coming together. And at the time when neither one of them had to play with a second superstar. I mean, okay, Wade, he had Shaq, but the older Shaq, but still Shaq.
Yeah.
So outside of Wade, you got 2 others never to play with the second super. Spo is just, I don't think he gets the recognition he should be getting, man. So I'm glad you gave Spo a shout out, because that dude he came from the video room, bro. Started from the bottom. Now we hear he is the mascot, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There is one thing I did want to mention with Spo, since you did bring him up. I do think people talk about him, but I also want to highlight the fact that, number one, he won with superstars, and number 2, he's been in the playoffs with forgettable talent that you probably was basically being thrown away, and was still able to get them to play, similar to Popovich, in my opinion. But I do think he doesn't get that same amount of, I guess, adoration, being put on a pedestal like the Greg Popoviches, even the Steve Kerr. I mean, Steve Kerr gets a lot of credit about with the Warriors, and not to say that he doesn't deserve it, but you know, when you look at some of these, how people talk about certain coaches, for some reason Doc Rivers still gets a lot of praise.
That part, Doc Rivers gets more. It's hard to measure praise.
Yeah.
But Doc Rivers is definitely talked about more in a positive way than Spo, I think. Maybe Doc, huh?
I don't feel that way, but okay. Like you said, it's hard to measure, but I don't get that. I don't get that essence because just the presence of what Miami has had over the decade. I feel like Spo has been in a lot of mouths over the past decade.
Yeah.
Over Doc, who we just kind of like hoping to see really get a team another one, like really actually like, you know, do it again.
I want him to get the ring. I want it for Spo. I just want it for Spo without LeBron.
Yeah, and but no, I agree with Kev. Like I don't think I've ever heard anything negative about Spo. I think a lot of time he gets overlooked because he's not that high. Number one, he's not getting fired. Number one, he's not getting fired. But also his championships, like Popovich, has been with, you know, Hall of Famers so far. So, you know, obviously Jimmy Butler's gonna be a Hall of Famer eventually. You know, so that's going to happen with Jimmy Butler, but I don't know if that is, you know, again, people aren't really talking about Jimmy Butler being like top 5. Like Pop and old Miami, either the top 1 or top 3, 2 of the top 3 players in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? So, or 2 of the top 5. Let's just say 2 of the top 5. Duncan's always been up there. David Robinson is, you know, back in Duncan's early years, he's had Kawhi at one point for a short stint. He's always had a stable core, Tony Parker or even Patty Mills. Patty Mills was a very serviceable guy. Manu was always like, obviously he's a Hall of Famer.
Steven Jackson came to help him win the ring.
Steven Jackson, but and even Steven Jackson as a role player.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's, you know, the only difference is that, like I said, Pop has been doing it since 97, between 97 and 2014-ish. Before, I think that was when Kawhi finally left, 2014, 2015. He's been doing it for over 20 years, almost 20 years. Spo's only been doing it since 2008. So, you know, he has some time, and I mean, obviously LeBron left and Chris Bosh has his issue and D-Wade was gotten old, but you know, I don't think anyone has ever said that, you know, Spoelstra needs to be fired or this guy. It's like he's in a hot seat. I've never heard him ever be in a hot seat. So, only positive things. Never heard him be like echo a whisper of him being the problem of Miami. Yeah. So,
yeah,
you know, that's you know. We'll see how it goes when at the end of the day, like whenever he decides he wants to hang it up, if he ever decides he wants to hang it up. But the guy's young; he's like in his 40s.
He's very young.
Yeah, he has time, man. That's a good thing about he capture about what you call it, Popovich. But Popovich compared to Phil Jackson, and Phil had top 5 players.
Yeah.
You know, Mike, Scotty, I'm going to put him in the top 5. He's definitely 10 all time. He's up there. Shaq and Kobe.
Yeah. Enough said. So
yeah.
So let me ask this, but I know we talked about it a little bit before. There's always going to be. We've seen it happen before with LeBron and Golden State, where he almost got it, but they didn't give it to him. Let's say Jokic, since y'all both pick Jokic as the better player right now. Would there be an instance if Miami was to win where Jokic should still get the MVP?
Should he? Okay, here's my caveat. It'd be disrespectful to Miami. However, if Jokic plays the way history says he's going to play, there's a damn good argument for him to get it. Damn good argument. Would I agree with him getting it? No, because it's disrespectful to the team that won. But
he said disrespectful.
Yeah, it's a good argument for it though.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, he's getting triple doubles, but at the end of the day, you know, it still gotta translate to W. So that's why I think I prefer the winning side. I wouldn't even say necessarily say it's a disrespect. Yeah, it could be disrespectful, but that wouldn't be my reason for wanting to give it to someone on the Miami side. Just because if they do win and they pull it out, it's going to be because of the players on their end. And it may be difficult to choose that individual player. But like we said, you know, Butler has his intangibles, so even though he may not be the top scorer on the team, he still do a lot to lead the team to those W's. I still think it's a give it to Butler, but Bam is also stepping up. Bam, to me, he's had 2 solid games back to back, and I like what he's doing. And if he continues it, I think he should be in the conversation too for Finals MVP if he continues to play the way he is. Because to me, his past 2 games has been solid. I haven't had any complaints about what Bam has been doing. He's been shooting when he needs to. Jimmy just needs to tighten up a little bit. His efficiency has gone down. And first game, he was a little... I don't know, he didn't seem like himself. He wasn't really as aggressive. Second game, he was. And even though he was missing some of those shots, or a lot of those shots, his aggression was still there. I think that's what's important. Jokic has to play phenomenal. He got to have like 30-plus point games and his triple-double in order for him to be considered. But if he have like a game 1, then like a game 2 where he had high score but not too many assists, then nah, definitely not. He have to be like super consistent at 30-plus point games, over 12 assists, over 12 rebounds, and then maybe, just even slight. Like I wouldn't even still want to give it to him, but I see the conversation being had.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I don't know, man. This has always been a tricky one because I mean, if LeBron couldn't do it, then who?
Jokic.
So
That's who.
people are gonna be so mad if Jokic gets it, and you know.
Oh yeah, dude.
They didn't want him to
Wouldn't
get
he be better than LeBron? Wouldn't he be playing better than LeBron compared to that? Because is LeBron averaging a triple double when he almost got that?
No.
He wasn't averaging a triple double. However, he did lead every major statistical stat.
For his team.
For
Everybody.
all 30 players who played in that game. Or who
And Jokic could do that. Jokic could do that.
Was that the year that Love and
Kyrie
got injured?
Yep.
Yeah, that was, to me, to this day, that's still his best finals. Like what he was able to do, it was just incredible, man. That was a Herculean lift of your next best player is J.R. Smith, and he made Mike
Dellavedova.
Yeah, he made Dellavedova a name that we can speak of to this day.
Hey, Dellavedova made his name that we can speak of. Give it to him.
Hey, LeBron had a big help in getting him to that point.
I hear you, but I'm always a little tentative about, you know, taking away from players and putting it into others' hands, you know. Like Hov said, you think you made me, well, make another one. And I haven't seen LeBron make another Dellavedova over there, so
You're right.
the players matter.
He hasn't made another, but he put him on the stage. I'll say that. He put him on the stage to where Dellavedova could showcase his talent.
Yeah, great players will do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that being a key, I guess, highlight of his losing efforts. You know, where you have more points than on average, most rebounds, most blocks, most steals, most assists, probably also most minutes. Like that says to me that seems like a harder thing to do than to average a triple double. Not to say triple doubles are easy, just say, you know, Jokic has been sustaining this, you know, for majority of his 82 game season. Like he's averaged a triple double. He's averaging a triple double throughout the postseason. I think he just passed a key player. I forget off the top of my head, where, you know, for the most games in a postseason with a triple double. So I mean, to this, not to diminish it, but you know, I haven't seen anyone lead any, you know, series in all major statistical stats ever.
That's tough. That's tough.
So
that is hard. That's a different.
But
you're right.
It's also relative, right? Because we're talking about he didn't average a triple double, but yet he still led in rebounds. He still led in assists.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone is averaging a triple double and he's still not leading in those statistical categories, that again is a relative thing. That's because some other player is having more rebounds and dishing the ball a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So those things are really tough, man. Like,
yeah.
Why wasn't anybody rebounding more than LeBron? Like, that's weird. He wasn't averaging double digits. Like, so no one on your team was averaging double digit rebound. Like, that's sad. You know what I mean? That's sad. Your point guard ain't getting more assists. That's sad. You know what I mean?
And then considering the fact that LeBron was during those Cleveland years, he was still the best defensive player on his team, and yet he's still getting more rebounds than everybody, and yet you're still the primary scorer. Like, bro, how can you be away from the basket? He's shooting J's sometimes, so he's getting in the paint at times, guarding people, and you can still race back to get the rebound.
But you know, he also had the most assists. He probably passed it and they went to the basket. Got rid of a rebound.
Like,
just in
what
case.
does that say? Like, bro, I know your shots a little shaky today. I'm gonna be right here. I got your back.
So yeah, I don't know. I think if in that instance, if LeBron didn't get it, I think I would find it hard to give it to Jokic, who led, the series in 3 of the 5 major statistical. Even though he did it consistently, triple, like over 10, right? Which is all a triple double is, right? He had 11 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists. That's all he needs to hit the marker, right, or whatever, right? Yeah. So I mean, I again, not to diminish it, I think it's harder. I think it's just harder to lead in all major stats versus averaging a triple double in the finals. So
it's relative, though. You're saying it's harder, but it's not necessarily harder, depending on what you're talking about, because it is hard to get double digits in these things. LeBron didn't have double digits necessarily in these things, right? But still led the category. So
let me find it.
How can we say one is harder and one is easier when one of them is dependent on what others are doing? You know what I mean? Like, the leading in that category depends on what others are doing. But having like a particular stat line that no one else is achieving is all on what you're doing. So it's one thing that we're comparing in a relative sense, and the other thing we're comparing in an absolute. Triple double is an absolute statistical stat line. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Leading in the particular stat is not absolute. It's relative to what everybody else is doing. So
true. I see what you're saying by that. So I do see what you're saying with respects to how one is relative and the other one is more absolute.
So harder depends on the team is what I'm saying. Harder depends on who else is around.
Yeah.
And
so
if you have Rodman there, it's going to be quite harder to get the rebound leading category.
Mm-hmm. So this I found it up real quick while you're making your case. LeBron in 2015 against Golden State, in that year averaged 35 points, 35.8 points, so almost 36 points a game, 13 rebounds a game, 8.8 assists a game, and then like 1.3 steals, a half a block, and I think that was pretty much it. There's some other stuff too, like turnovers and stuff like that. 3.5 turnovers. I don't think you care about that, but let's say okay.
That's good. That's efficient.
So I'm okay. So like even if we take this, and let's not worry about like all the statistical stats, but let's say 35 points, 13 assists, 8 rebounds. Right now he's in points wise, he's already better than Jokic on average. So Jokic has to get his numbers back up to or maintain to like that 40 point range, because he had that 27 point game, then that 40 point game, and we've seen
that's not a good recipe, though. Yeah. That's not a good recipe for W's for them. We saw it, right? 53 points they lose, 41 points they lose. So
yeah,
for him to go out there and say, "Let me chase points," it may not translate to W. So
yeah, which I agree. I agree on that. 13.3 rebounds. Let's see. He had 11 and. Let's see. He had 11 and 10. He hasn't even broken. This is me. LeBron had 18 rebounds on the elimination game, 16 rebounds one other game, game 2, 12, and 14. He only averaged a single once, right? So Jokic got to do a little bit more on that, in my opinion, on rebounding. Assists, obviously, Jokic is doing better on assists, but at least especially in the first game. Second game, he only had 4.
Yeah.
You know, LeBron assists, he never had 4. He had 6, 8, 8, 9, and 2 11s. And I just kind of went from lowest to highest. But I don't know, man. I just feel like, if he's gonna do that, if it's going to be Jokic who's going to get it, so like you're looking at absolute stat versus stat, still gotta do better than LeBron. And I don't unless he does anything close to what those numbers are, I would have a hard time giving it to him.
Okay.
All right, that's a fair argument.
So, but I don't know, man. We'll see. Look, if Jokic gets it, I ain't mad, because the dude, he's one of my favorite players as far as like, you know.
Oh man, his passes are next level, man. I would have loved to see him and LeBron in the same team. Like, my God.
They will never let that happen. They should. This one he should have went for instead of AD, but you know, separate.
I wonder why he didn't go for your. Yeah.
Separate thing. Oh no.
You know, the GM stats. The GM's record has a spotty.
Yeah.
LeBron, the player, magnificent. The GM.
Hey man.
A lot of question marks.
He's gotten 3 championships off of his GM side.
Did he? Was it?
Yeah, but he said sliding though. You know that's the past. We're talking about what's the current trend. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Are you really gonna say that? Are you gonna attribute the 2 his Miami years to
he recruited Chris Bosh, and he tried to recruit Carmelo. In fact, he tried to recruit Carmelo first. He didn't want to go for it because he wanted his money, so he recruited Chris Bosh. And he already had that set up, kind of like the whole Kyrie KD tunnel talk. He was already talking to Wade.
Yeah, that went down the track.
So, and then, you know, he was like, oh yeah, get this guy. I'm sure he talked to Ray Allen. Oh yeah, get Ray Allen. Because Ray Allen is disgruntled.
Was it? But Pat had a role in getting them to come to Miami.
Sure.
LeBron was trying to get them to come there. I think there was talk about. There was definitely talk about Carmelo going to Chicago, because I was excited about that. I was like, man, please go to Chicago.
Yeah.
But yeah, he went to New York for some odd reason.
Yeah.
I know he wish he could take that.
Well, you know, he's from Baltimore, so.
Yeah.
Not odd reason.
I wonder if he could do it again, would he make the same move? But anyways.
Yeah.
I can't put LeBron the GM over Pat Riley the GM, man. It was Miami years. I hear what you're saying. He was a key component, but look what Riley just continues to do, man. Like, he continues to find players with heart, desire, passion, and talent, despite what ESPN says. And, you know, Miami's competitive more years than not.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
See, okay. What about Cleveland Cavaliers? He won one with them, and he recruited Kevin Love.
I'll get that to him.
Okay.
Dude. He wrote a letter in I don't know what of those sports magazines when he left Miami, and like these are the players, pretty much these are the players I would like to see, and that's when Cleveland had Andrew Wiggins. They were like, hold on, man, Wiggins is not on this letter. We got to get rid of Wiggs.
Yeah,
get him out of here.
Hey, yeah, right on the raw, bro. The dude was not gonna produce for you. But anyways, that's cool, man. Anything else I want to talk about with that before we move on? Because we got one other topic we got to talk about.
I'm good.
Cool. All right. Well, speaking of Chicago, man, there was a statement. Scottie Pippen has been doing his rounds. If you guys haven't been noticing, ever since The Last Dance, Pippen was like, "Me too." He wants to be Mr. Me Too, and so he has been on a path. He's been on a tour. He's been doing everything. Every time someone says something to him about the good old days with the Chicago Bulls, he always got something to say. But this is the latest thing he said. I don't know where it was at. I saw the recording. I don't know what the source, like who he was talking to, but he was asked, about, I don't know how this even came up. This is what he said though. This is in relation to Michael Jordan. He said, and I quote, I've seen Michael Jordan play before I came to the Bulls. Keyword I want y'all to keep that part, apparent there. So relevant. You guys seen him play. He was a horrible player. He was horrible to play with. It was all one-on-one, shooting bad shots. Then he continued. All of a sudden, we became a team. So now you're saying we. Mm-hmm. We become a team and we start winning. Everyone forgot who he was. He was a player who was really not at the top of his category. It was scoring. So, got a lot of backlash. All of the Jordanites, Jordan stands. Skip Bayless probably blew his top. And,
Ernestine.
Outrage. Outrage ensues. But I don't know, man. It's 2023, man. We ain't in that bubble anymore. Does people have a point about what Michael Jordan was at all? I don't know if you guys watched Michael Jordan back in the day. It was way a long time ago in the 80s.
Yeah, it's not the most present in terms of consciousness right now, but I still think he went a little overboard with the use of words, his choice of words, I should say. Calling him a horrible player, I don't think stands up to what he was producing at that time. Mm-hmm. And maybe taking bad shots, but again, Jordan had that attitude that I want to win. He's a competitor, and we've seen competitors like Kobe Bryant and other competitors who really want to win, and sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes it translates to being a bad thing. But that's the thing that also gets you to the championships at the end of the day. Yeah. At that time, in Scottie Pippen's mind, from his perspective, it was a bad thing because he was taking ill-advised shots. But that's the same kind of energy that we wanted, or that's the same kind of energy that would take you over the hump when the time came. So, does he have a point? He's entitled to his opinion. It's his opinion. I don't think it's an objective one. I think it's subjective to whatever style he was interested in being a part of and what he thought a good player should be, at that time. If you ask me, I'm okay playing with a champion. I'm okay with playing with a dog, someone who wants to, put the shots up, because I personally like to grind on defense and do the little nicky-nacky thing. So for me, Jordan would be a great player. You know what I mean? That's for me. But then Pippen, he wants to be that top dog as well. And if that's what you want, you're going to get annoyed with someone always taking all the shots, especially taking shots that you would not consider a good one. Mm-hmm. Of course. Definitely. So I lean more into he wasn't a good player to play with, more so than he was a horrible player. Mm-hmm. Like that second statement about him saying horrible to play with, yeah, okay, that's you didn't like playing with him. But to call him a horrible player, that's a stretch.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Mr. Unmatched, undrafted. There you go, undrafted, Mr. Undrafted. You need
unmatched. You can say unmatched.
It's getting worse, man. Like you're getting worse, bro. Like this is bad. This is really bad. We gotta put you back in like remedial classes, bro. Here's the thing, man. Like we talked about this pre-pod. Before the Last Dance dropped, Pippen was singing Jordan's praises. He refused to put LeBron above Jordan. Kobe, he'll entertain that discussion, but he would not put LeBron above Jordan. And he sung the praises of Jordan, also sung his praises, and Pippen deserves his flowers, man. After the last Dance, I think we all agree, it did depict him as weak. There were elements of weakness, right, that were shown in the Last Dance aimed at Pippen compared to Jordan's supernova star. I can say I could take offense to that because he did. He wrote a freaking book. He wrote a freaking book and went on the tour thrashing Jordan. Now, there's another element that we haven't talked about. It's not really sports related, but who is his ex-wife, the mother of his kids, dating?
Michael Jordan's son? Oh, Michael Jordan.
Marcus, his son.
Okay, yeah, his son.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I Googled them, right, to make sure I was up on the gossip. And I quote, the two are not engaged yet, but Larsa, that's his wife, Pippen, is willing to change her last name if their status changes in the future.
Well,
So, not to mention, Larsa Pippen is going on a tour thrashing Scotty. So Scotty's taking shots from his ex-wife. She's getting cozy with the Jordan tribe. Jordan, I think he sees Jordan didn't do him justice in The Last Dance. I don't think it was disrespectful. I think he missed the part where Michael was saying he couldn't achieve anything without Pippen. He said that in there. And Pippen's contract disputes, his back, almost lost them championships. He said that in The Last Dance. For whatever reason, Pippen missed that. I don't know what version of The Last Dance he had. I don't know if he had the Netflix that had the ads in it. Maybe a commercial came on in that portion. I don't know. But it's in there. You go back and look at it. And then I went back and looked at the portion of time that Pippen was talking about. Jordan came in with 84, 85. Pippen got the Bulls. He was drafted like 86, 87. 84, 85. Hey, also, during this research, Jordan went through 3 coaches his first 3 years. I didn't even know that. Collins didn't get there until the year they drafted Scotty. So his first 3 years, different coaches.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan gets there, and this dude is a monster. 84, 85, he's scoring 26 points a game with 5 assists. The next guy, Orlando.
28 points a game.
Woodridge. Huh?
I got 28 points a game, but.
What, 84, 85?
84, 85
Are you
is.
looking at 80?
Yeah.
I got 28.
I got 28.
I got 28.
Come on, basketball reference. What are y'all doing?
Point shaving.
Reference, man.
They point shaving.
You know what?
They took 2.
My bad. They're doing it per 30 minutes, 36 minutes. I see what you got. Okay, per game. That's on me. Mm-hmm. All right, 28 minutes. Orlando 22, and then you had 2 other 10-point double-digit scorers, right? 86. That's when he was injured, so it's not even count that. 85, 86. 86, 87. It's like every other superstar player, when they come back with a vengeance. They just feel like the world forgot about him. Kevin Durant broke his foot, came back harder than ever, won MVP, right? Jordan broke his foot, came back, monster. 37 points a game. And then he lost his second best player, Orlando. Now your next highest scorer is who? Charles Oakley, coming in at 14 and a half. And we know Charles Oakley is not an offensive player. Nobody else on this team is an offensive stud. Who had to pick up the slack? Jordan. And at this time, his head coach was it Collins at this point? It was Collins. And in The Last Dance, Collins said, "What's your game plan?" Passing to Michael. What happens if he gets double? Well, he passes to somebody else, and then we pass it back to Michael. That's it.
Yeah.
And then Scotty's first year, he came in with a thunderous 7.9 points a game.
7.9 points a game?
7.9 points a game. 7.9, almost 8, just shy of 8.
Okay.
So he was a work in progress, man. Mm-hmm. Scotty came from
Arkansas.
I think he's from Arkansas, yeah. From Mississippi with Arkansas. I don't know if it was highly touted.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't a highly touted. No, he wasn't.
He was a work in progress, man.
Yeah.
So Michael was still scoring 30-plus points a game, with Charles Oakley being his number 2, who dropped 2 points a game from 14 to 12.4. So look at the roster of what he had. He did the best. He was still averaging almost 6 assists.
Horrible player. That's horrible.
3 steals. Like, what do you want the man to do? With this rock? Who is he going to pass it to do what they do? We know what Charles' role was. Sam Vincent, never heard of the guy. Dave, Brad Summers, never heard of these people. I'm not dogging their career at all. Their specialty wasn't scoring. That's showing a basketball reference. So for Scotty to change his narrative up after The Last Dance, after loss of Pippen is in bed with the Jordans. Let me not say the Jordans. That makes us sting. With Jordan's son.
Uh-huh.
Of course, he's a little sore, man.
So you think this is
hating Jordan and then, yeah, man. Like, how you gonna switch up your whole story?
It hitting him.
Maybe it was how the question was asked, man. You know what I'm saying? So
He was asked a question 1,000 different ways before the Last Dance, and he never dogged Jordan. Last Dance, he comes out with a book, angry at Jordan. Now his wife is sleeping with Jordan.
Okay. So hold on. First of all, I refute this narrative because he did mention on First Take. This is before the Last Dance came out. So this is before the pandemic even hit. So they asked the question because he was asked who's better between Jordan and LeBron. His answer was LeBron's a better player, Jordan's a better scorer. And he's always maintained that. So
he hasn't always he's maintained it since then.
Before the pandemic, before the Last Dance, look, he probably was still married to the young lady.
Yeah, they got a divorce. Nah, they got divorced in 2021. I think I saw.
Yeah. So he was a byproduct of the COVID. The pandemic, man, you couldn't go nowhere. You had to stay around each other. Some people broke up. Some people got closer. So you know, it's maybe he realized. Maybe they realized they ain't like each other. I don't know. But my point is that he has said that about LeBron, comparing him to Jordan. LeBron's a better passer, a better teammate. Jordan's a better scorer. And I think that's very true. I mean, Jordan scored almost 40 points a game one season, right? His comeback season off his foot injury, right?
Yeah.
So no.
But crunch time. I mean, Jordan is a better. I have to look at the stats. The narrative says Jordan is a better crunch time player, but I need to look at the stats.
Yeah. We need to look at the stats. I would disagree because he had a lot of misses as well. We glorify, we romanticize his makes.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's true. But LeBron also has had some passivity coming down to the stretches of the game.
Yeah, especially in his younger career. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But as he got older, he's taking the last shot. He has a couple of closing moments. He probably had better closing moments, but I
ain't going all the way there now. Like
man, the turnaround 3-point, the catch from half court, turnaround 3-point bank shot 3 against the Washington Wizards. That's crazy. Also, the game winning shot over Orlando when he first went to the finals. It was a conference final, but to get past Orlando to make it to the finals and get swept. Yeah, that was I think that was a really good shot too.
I know it's not like a final shot, but the game winning shot over Golden State in the play-in game.
I think he saw 3 goals. He picked the one in the middle.
Yeah, it was over Steph Andre.
Yeah,
I saw it in the middle. I mean, it's smart, bro.
But
after Trey clogged his eyes out.
Yeah, but by comparison, I think Kobe also had better closing, like game-winning shots than both of them, because Kobe takes hard shots all the time.
Mm-hmm.
He lived for the hard shot. Yeah.
So that's all I kind of wanted to mention as far as like the Scottie Pippen, LeBron, and Jordan thing. But I feel like based on the question or based on what he said, again, that's why I want to focus on he said I and we, blah, blah, before I got to the team. Yeah, number one, I agree with everyone. The team was trash. Chicago was not looked at as a basketball anything.
No, it's not a destination.
It was like, who you want to win the NBA Finals? Chicago Cubs. That's how bad it was. Jordan basically made Chicago a basketball cultured city in the sense of from the NBA level. Like they still had people coming up, like Isaiah Thomas came from Chicago. Like they put out some talent out of the city or out of that state. So that's nothing. That wasn't ever new. Yes, the dude scored, and yes, the team was trash. He probably had to score. He didn't have anything else he could do to get them to win because they just didn't have that culture. I wholeheartedly agree with that. I also wholeheartedly agree that he probably was. We all know that he's ultra competitive. Number one, hyper competitive. To a deficit at a lot of times. Number two, once he got that cachet that I'm the guy, and now he's gonna start holding everyone else accountable. I'm sure that he was a horrible player. I'm sure he wanted to do. He was doing a lot of one-on-one in a time where there wasn't a lot of one-on-one wing play because it was still a bunch of inside out big man's league, things like that. And young Jordan was through the legs, pull up, drive, pull up, drive, go under. Like that's what they call him, Air Jordan. Dude would just be in the air all day. So and this is to me, this is the best way I can kind of put it into perspective. When we see Steph Curry shoot from just past the half court line, do we think that's a bad shot?
No.
If you're a coach and you're coaching players to play the game the right way, would you be okay with your player shooting a shot just under the half court?
No.
Okay. So the reason that we say that is because we know that's a bad shot, but Steph Curry, it's a good shot. Because anything Steph Curry, he has the ultimate green light, right? We know that Steph Curry can do those things, but because he, especially at the time, 2014, 15, 16, at the time, no one wanted to say that's a good shot because we don't want to teach players and teach people who trying to play this game a certain way or the right way, quote unquote right way, because it's always subjective, right?
Quote unquote. Yeah.
They that's not a smart shot. That's not an efficient shot. That's not a shot that's going to give you a high value return. Steph Curry made it
exactly,
except for you. Jordan was the same way. There was nobody who was that athletically gifted who was just like shooting, like doing a bunch of ISO. We've never heard ISO until mid 90s. The reason we didn't hear heavy ISO until mid 90s because the 80s was when Jordan was doing heavy ISO, and that was probably seen, it was frowned upon. No, you go the ball inside out, blah blah. You don't be doing all this. So I think from that point of view, he probably was a horrible player. It worked. So that's the reason why I asked that question with Steph Curry, because Steph Curry has generated so much success that now people think that I can do it too. And sorry, Jordan Poole, no. And I'm saying Jordan Poole because that last shot, but anyone outside of maybe Dame Lillard, probably the only person closest to what Steph can do. Anyone else? Like
green light or talent wise?
The success rate of hitting really bad 3-point shots.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say bad. You see, like, yes, I know what you're saying, but I cringe every time I hear it because it ain't bad for Steph. It ain't bad for Dame time either. You know what I mean? Like,
but those are very poor choice.
Pre-injury Clay was like a tier down from Steph.
Clay never had the range of Steph.
Yeah, no,
but as far as like shots, double teams, awkward balance shots, early shot clock threes, I think those, never had the range.
Yeah. But
difficulty around that 3-point, like, hold on, Clay, what you do? Oh, went in. Okay, pre-injury Clay.
Yeah. So, and so I guess that's my point, right? Like, there was a point in time when those were considered bad shots. There was a point in time where if there's a fast break going, you feel the lanes in, not you go and fan out to the 3-point corners. Yeah. There was a time when that was frowned upon. So if a person did that, that would be considered, bad behavior. But like, that's not what you want. That's not what you want to teach. Yeah, exactly. You get benched for that. So So again, that's kind of why I want to put that in perspective of what Jordan was in the 80s. Jordan was very fast, very athletic, hang in the air, dude is just trying to rock you to sleep the whole time, and he was successful at it. And it took a while for the NBA to catch up with the talent behind Michael Jordan, what he could do at the wing level. Now we got a bunch of wing level players who can do that. And so you know, I think what Pippen said makes sense. I agree with what he's saying. I think Jordan was probably
a horrible player. A horrible player.
You think Jordan was a horrible player
at the time? I'm not saying that. Did he get results? Yes, he got results.
No, a horrible player.
No, you can't. He was not a horrible player.
And I talk about his attitude and stuff like that. I'm like, what do you mean by horrible player?
Hold on. He said, I'm looking at the context. He says, let me see. He was a horrible player. He was horrible to play with. I can almost agree with that one.
The second one,
right? It was all one-on-one. It was all one-on-one, and he was shooting bad shots. So shooting one-on-one and shooting bad shots is why he thinks he was a horrible player.
But we already established that was a necessity based on the team and the people that were around him. So that can't be bad. Going back to the whole Curry situation, right? Mm-hmm. It's diversity. Let's talk. Don't talk about this tunnel. Mm-hmm. I only could see the game like this kind of view. Mm-hmm. That would bring you to that response. But if you can understand what a player could contribute and their diverse skill sets mm-hmm. and what they're capable of, then it ain't bad anymore. That shot that Curry take ain't a bad shot anymore. You know what I mean? So I don't think what Jordan was doing was necessarily bad. It was a situation, and he knew what skills he had to contribute. So he put his best foot forward. Whether or not those were bad shots, I can't really tell. I can't remember all the shots that Jordan was taking. But if you look at his percentage, he was still pretty good from the 2-point range. His 3-point range was garbage, but his 2-point percentages was 50-something%. How bad could the shots be when he was making 50% of them?
Mm-hmm. And that's fair. That's very fair. And I'm only saying it from the standpoint of and this is kind of where we start getting lost with respects to like what's considered horrible, bad, and whatever. And what Pippen really means, because you had to like ask him, what do you mean by that? He shot 50%. What do you mean by that? He scored 37 points a game. What do you mean by that? Like, he's taking bad shots, but let him expand on it. I'm guessing, just again, benefit of the doubt, or maybe just understanding the style of play at the time. You were not encouraged to play that way.
I like the fact that you're expanding on it, because you also have to expand on the fact that before then, mm-hmm. Pippen sung his praises.
I mean, he also said he was the best scorer ever. Like he was a better scorer, probably one of the best scorers ever. I think both of those can be true as well.
Yeah,
Iverson was a great scorer. He was a horrible teammate.
Mm-hmm. But would you say he was a horrible player?
Well, I wouldn't say he was a horrible. Well, depends on how you want to define it. I wouldn't say it only because.
Can we bring up some horrible players? Can we talk about some horrible players? Like, really, let's bring it to context what a horrible player really is. Because, like, is Kwame Brown a horrible player?
I'm sure he was to Smush Parker. Jeremy Lin. Like, they probably like, this guy here sucks, but I hate me. I mean, horrible player.
There are horrible players, man. There are bad players, man. Come on now. We getting out of hand now. We getting out of hand.
Whatever his name was.
Darko Milicic.
The Detroit drafted instead of drafting LeBron James. Horrible play. He didn't even last in the league, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, you could be a very good player, everyone likes you, and you be out the league. I agree with that too. I'm not saying one is it's not this thing where like horrible player means bad, means you shouldn't be in the league, means you're a disgrace. And I think that's, I'm not saying that. That's why I say you could be a horrible player, you could be a horrible teammate, and still be very productive and still get championships. Because Kobe.
Yeah, the teammate thing I'm good with.
Huh?
I'm good with the teammate thing. I'm good with that because I know that's a personal thing and how you feel about that person. Yeah. I'm good with you having whatever feelings you want towards that. But then when you talk about what a player is and whether they're a good player, great player, bad player, or horrible player, just going off of those 5 categories, horrible being the worst, bad, average, good, and great, you're gonna put him down in the horrible category? Come on now. I'm just saying you've been doing a little while now.
and name great players that were great teammates. Because to be great, you have to have this drive in you that just other people think that you're literally crazy because that's how hard you go at your craft.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, outside of like LeBron, who's just an affable guy, right? Other greats, Larry Bird, there are legends of how bad Larry Bird trash talked people. You know what I'm saying? How Larry Bird challenged his own teammates. Mm-hmm. Bro, the greats, there's little room to be nice in sports if you want to be great.
Mm-hmm. Anything, well, in other things actually, not just sports.
Sure. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
you've seen it in the industry too with CEOs and how hard they go at their employees, and
mm-hmm.
we talk trash about them, you know, but then they're the ones making the billies.
Yeah.
Hey, you're right. Steve Jobs was, some people say universally hated in Apple, but he made Apple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so
anybody else do it being nice? Who knows?
Yeah. No, and I definitely agree with that. And I think that's the reason why when someone says horrible, you know, when I heard what he said or read what he said and saw what he said, I didn't look at that as him being a very inept and incapable player who should not be in the NBA. I looked at it as, yeah, he probably was not making. He wasn't doing the things that you would want in an ideal teammate. And again, if you don't care about those things, which I mean, obviously, I'm not on the team, I wouldn't care. But if I was on the team, I probably would care a little bit. You know that I think that's fair. If a person's really hard on you, I'm sure Jimmy Butler was considered a horrible teammate and probably a horrible player in Minnesota because he trash talked everybody there, and then.
Not a horrible player. You can't say horrible player. Like,
yeah,
that's what the stacks
playoffs until he got injured. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's what put the levels up. Like, come on, there's levels to it. So, like, what's a good player? What's a great player? What's a bad player? What's a horrible player? Like, I really want to know what that is, and then we can talk about who goes where.
Sure,
but
sure.
To put somebody who produced like that into the horrible player category, I find it tough. But I do understand where you're coming from, though. Like, from that perspective of beyond just your skill set and what you can contribute on the court, but how you're doing what you're doing, not just what you're doing. I understand that plays into the feelings towards it. So yeah, if he calls him horrible, that's a personal opinion, personal perspective.
He's hurt, man. I think
he said he's hurt. Hey man,
I don't just look at the time of the thing. He's just hurt, and that's fair.
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that.
A battered relationship, man. Like, dang, man, my ex excelling without me, man. I don't like her.
Excelling? You know? Wow. Okay.
Jordan did excel after his career. Like, if Pippen is looking at it in those terms, you know,
I
like he might.
Wait. Are you talking about with his? You talking about with his ex-wife? Or you talking about something else?
Well, no, I'm talking about like him and Jordan.
Okay.
Like
just
him and Jordan.
after
like
basketball.
How a bruised ex might look at their ex, right? If they're doing well without them. Yeah. So it seems like that, man. Pippen's, you know, the personal life doesn't look so hot with the divorce, and his wife just out here dating multiple NBA stars because it was one of the Beasleys, right? I just think he's jilted, and that's fair. And now he's coming out with a vengeance, man.
Okay, so
does he have a point? Does he have a point? Sorry, Chris.
No.
Yeah, no, go for it.
I mean, no. If Chris thinks he does, I totally disagree with Pippen's point.
Okay, right.
That was the question. That's
all I wanted to get. What's the point? I don't have to agree with the whole thing. I probably wouldn't say a horrible player, but
what would you say?
He's a horrible teammate. I would say he was. I would agree with that. And he did take bad one-on-one shots. Again,
but to Kev's point, he also had a high shooting.
He was successful at making very poor quality shots.
It's not bad. It's not necessarily bad. You got to get away from that because you're talking from a very generalized standpoint. You know what I mean? Everybody's not going to take the same risk. The guys who take the high risk, they get high reward. And then we could step back later and be like, man, that was a horrible move. But yet, to them, in their eyes, in their view, they saw a positive thing here. And they took that risk. While we are at home, working on a 9 to 5, trading dollars for dollars, they're cushy right now because they did the things that others looked at as horrible. They did the things that others looked at as impossible. They did the things that others looked at it. That's a badass move. But this is what separates great people like what Kurt was alluding to from just the average folks. You know what I mean? Sometimes it looked bad to some of us. But
Okay.
those shots probably made him who he ended up being. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I can agree with that too. So why can't we say bad is a positive thing down the road?
I'm just saying the word bad puts it in the box.
Well, I'm just
the definition of it.
well. I mean, you can make bad decisions and can help grow you down the road. I mean, there's always learning that comes out of that. So I mean, I understand that, like, when we say bad decisions, we saying decisions that, hey, yo, like, that probably had a lot of risk, like you said, associated with it, or, you know, so his risk could have been, yo, I did a lot of one-on-one, took a lot of shots that were probably ill-advised, that got benched. Could have easily got benched because you're not producing. Well, he did produce, so I'm just.
I think high difficulty shots would be a better. You know what I'm saying? Cause like,
I would just say poor quality shots. I could have just said poor quality shots.
50% is not. See, that's what I've now come into play now. Poor quality would be he's averaging 20%. You know what I mean? But it's poor quality to ABC. It's not poor quality to Jordan. That 3-point shot is poor quality to everybody else. It's not poor quality to Steph. So we can't just judge an individual according to this whatever this is, whatever this arbitrary level of how we should do things, this quote unquote how things should be done. Okay. Embrace the diversity, embrace the diversity, man. Let's embrace the diversity of others, and let's try to change the sport or change the way we look at the sport according to who is playing it. Not just like, this is how the sport should be. He doesn't match X. Bad. Horrible. That's rigid.
Well, I mean, again, if there's a formula, and again, I don't disagree with you in a big macro 10,000, 10 million feet in the air point of view. And actually, I don't really agree with you at all. But at the same time,
agree.
Well, no, I'm saying I don't. Wait, what?
That's a very unique and specific way to agree to somebody.
I don't. Well, because I don't disagree. I'm not disagreeing.
He's saying the larger picture. He don't disagree with it.
Yeah,
from the larger standpoint.
So, but so you should say I should say I agree with it. I agree with what you say. I'm only just pointing.
Put the conditions on it that you need to put, man.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm just saying.
Got you.
It was getting kind of layered.
I don't disagree. 10,000 level point of view, holistically.
Very high. Very high.
Okay.
Very high.
A lot of caveats. Okay, got you. So I do agree with what you're saying. I think I'm just highlighting the fact that at the end of the day, this is how they thought.
Correct.
In the 80s, right? That's what they thought.
Correct.
So based on what they thought, I would think that they would think that that's probably a bad way to play basketball.
Yo, they also thought we were less than human. We were 3/5 of a human. So I ain't going off of what people think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People can think what they want to think, especially back then. You know, the fact is we've learned now that just because we think this way, that doesn't mean that's the right way to think. Like we know that now. It's 2023.
Yeah.
We're way ahead of that whole. Let's get locked into what we think is the thing. We're way past that.
Gotcha.
Way past that.
So cool. All right. Well, anything else I want to say on Jordan or Pippen? Since we got one. Don't have a point. Care what you say? No point. Marginal point.
I'm like you. I just don't like the words that you're choosing to use to describe it. I'm like you, Real. He has his point compared to what he thinks or what he believes the game should have been played and how he would prefer for his players to be and all that stuff. I think he has his point because what you said about Jordan ain't wrong, you know what I mean? So I just don't like the whole horrible label.
You don't like the summary. You don't like the summary, but you're okay with this.
Yeah.
But to that thing though, like in the 80s, Magic had Kareem, Worthy. Help me out. Who else he had?
Elgin. No, he didn't have Elgin Baylor. He actually had. I think he had Elgin.
Byron Scott.
Byron Scott. Yeah, he had Byron Scott.
Yeah.
He had what's that other guy name? Oh, what is his name? He had the goggles. Worthy. Yeah, Worthy.
Yeah, I said Worthy. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Worthy.
My bad.
Yeah, Worthy, Kareem, Byron Scott. I mean, Worthy, Kareem, Worthy, and Kareem. That's enough.
That's all you needed.
And then Bird had McHale and Parrish and Danny Ainge. There was another scorer though. I can't think of another scorer name. Mm-hmm. But McHale was a beast in the post.
Mm-hmm.
Magic didn't have
Michael.
Magic. Jordan. Michael didn't have that. Even Isaiah Thomas had Joe Dumars. Had it was him. It was Joe as the scorers, and he had a ton of defensive rebound guys. Mm-hmm. I don't think they had. Oh, they had Adrian Dantley for a minute, and then they traded him for somebody else.
They had John Sally too.
Yeah. I can't remember what Sally was. He was a rebounder, right? He wasn't really a scorer.
But he still was a serviceable big.
Yeah, and especially for that era.
Mm-hmm.
And Jordan didn't have that, so he had to morph the way he played, or maybe not morph. The team fit the way he played, and then they got elements to surround him to highlight his strengths. Mm-hmm. Scotty as a defensive ace, Horace and the later Rodman for the rebound, right? And then ancillary pieces. You had some 3-point shooters. They built around his strength. The same way with Magic, strength was his passing. They gave him shooters. Birds is an all-around guy, so they gave him McHale was an all-around guy, and other people to surround him to highlight his strengths. I still disagree with Scotty's point.
That's good. That's okay, man. You can disagree. You can disagree. So we got two agrees. One agree. Two agrees with. I'm okay with like massaging. I don't agree with like the. If he just said a horrible player, a horrible teammate, and then like that, I probably would have been like, yeah, that's a little bit of a reach, but you know.
But him adding his point in there, a
little bit of details kind of help provide the context as to like why he thought he was a horrible player or teammate. But okay, I think that may be more about the error than it was about, you know. Because I mean, Anthony Edwards came in as a rookie, did the same thing, took bad shots. ISO. We can see the same thing. It's not a horrible player.
So. I mean, but Jordan he stayed that player throughout his career, like taking high difficulty shots to score. Great on defense.
Yeah, but he also number one, he was he did mentor Scotty, so that's a thing.
Yeah,
he got him up to speed, and he also was defensive player of the year, or at least not defensive player of the year. He was first team all defense.
All defensive team, yeah.
Yeah, all defensive team for a number of years, and he learned to trust his teammates. He learned to pass the ball when, that's how John Paxson got his shot. That's how Steve Kerr got his shot in the finals. So like
they started to trust Coco, yeah. Yeah,
so he started to trust other people. I think that's when he started to let the ball go a little bit more. But yeah, he was still high volume shooter. Hit 50-60% of them. I don't want to call high volume. They usually mean you're inefficient, but he took a lot of shots.
I think high volume is what did you say? My convenience. I think that's a word that it means what it means. Mm-hmm. For whatever reason, it has a negative connotation.
Yeah, that's kind of a lot. Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to try to like say. Well, he was also efficient, so he was efficient.
Not even high volume in this day. Compared to this day and age, ain't even high volume. I'm looking at 19, 17, 27, 23, 21. This day and age, that's like low volume.
yeah. But the scoring was way lower too. So
yeah. So that's what I'm saying. It's compared to now. I'm just comparing to now, which isn't fair. But I can see that being high volume back then.
Yeah.
Like,
people easily throw these up right now.
Yeah. So yeah, man. Let us know how y'all feel about that, man. We can go ahead and wrap this up. We can a little bit longer than this. Well, we're already longer than this too, but we can go ahead and start with the sign-offs. But Kev, what you got, man?
Man, as usual, man, we appreciate your time. It's valuable. And we enjoy when you spend it with us. We're here every Wednesday, as Chris will remind you. Let us know what you feel about this episode, what you feel about the conversation, our thoughts. Where do you stand on Pippen's words? Do you think it has a point? Do you think he's just crazy? Do you think he's bitter? Let us know in the comments below. We're here, and you can contact us through Discord as well. We'll be happy to conversate with you guys. Till next time.
Cool. All right, Mr. Unbreakable, unabashed, unabated,
Spurs, man. Just cannot
undrafted.
Where your glasses at, man?
Undrafted. I got it. Undrafted. You're undrafted.
I miss Afro Pippen, man, because locked out Pippen's on this world tour, boy.
Oh man.
Hey, here's a question, man. Since we're in the playoffs, we're in the championship game, man. We're talking about the best of the best for this season. Need you guys to name the top 5 NBA players with the most playoff wins.
Most playoff wins?
Those most playoff wins.
Is LeBron in that category, or suspect so?
Duncan.
LeBron is not in that. Yeah, he is.
Wow.
I was going to cheat. I can't even add in suspense. He's number 1.
Duncan.
Okay, Duncan.
Number 3.
Who's number 2 here? Jordan.
Number 2, you would not. Jordan is not in the top 5.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't have that many playoffs.
I'm just thinking about the 90s, so he was pretty good at that one. Let me see here. So
Jordan's down there, yeah.
So let's see here. So you said 5?
Mm-hmm. You got 2. You got James and you got Duncan.
Jason Kidd?
No. Kid's not even on the. He's not even on here.
Yeah, he didn't have that much. I'm trying to think who's been just reoccurring, just always a presence.
Yeah. Bill Russell. I don't know how many games he played in the playoffs.
I'll give you a hint. Who did James has made a record this season? Who did he take the record from?
Kareem?
Kareem.
Okay. Kareem is actually number 5. Now, number 2 and number 4, because James is 1, Duncan's 3, Abdul-Jabbar is 5. Number 2 and number 4 played on the same team.
Larry Bird, he was always in the playoffs.
Played in the same team in the OOs. OOs on later. Role player.
Come on, Chris. You know this. You're a historian.
Right.
Let me see. Robert Horry.
Early OOs. He's number 4.
Good one. Good call. He's always there.
Steve Kerr.
Oh, and
Steve Kerr?
No, but Robert Horry's teammate. They played on 2 teams together. So Horry was on the Lakers. What other team did he play for?
Horry was on the Lakers. He was also on the Spurs.
Okay. Now think about who played on the Lakers and the Spurs. Another role player, prominent role player.
Spurs. Who played on the Spurs and the Lakers? Who's a role player?
You probably won't get the Spurs part. But if you think of the Lakers.
No, he didn't play for the Lakers.
Think about the Lakers in the 00s, 99 and 2000s. Who was on that team? Not Shannon Brown, definitely. I got some going through these people.
I don't know if Shannon Brown and Horry played together.
Not Lamar Odom. That was afterwards. He never played.
Yeah.
He played with the Clippers. Who was on?
You know, I take it back. He made a great shot against the Spurs. He didn't play on the Spurs.
Oh, I'm gonna say there's not many Spurs to Lakers.
Yeah. He didn't play on the Spurs. Sorry, he made a great shot against them.
Against the Spurs.
But I want to say he was with Kobe for every one of his rings.
Mark Madsen?
Yeah, he was with Kobe for every one of his rings. Come on, man. He was with Shaq, Kobe, Paul Gasol, the only other Laker to be there that long.
Fisher?
Oh, you said I'm still.
Yeah, he took away the requirement of playing with the Spurs.
Yeah, I was like, wait, he didn't play with the Spurs.
No, he made that great shot against the Spurs. But Fisher, so the Laker years, right? He went to Golden State 05, 06. I don't know if that's we believe years. I don't think so. Then Utah made the playoffs came back to the Lakers, right? The OKC.
Dang, you're right. I forgot he went to OKC. I just thought about
even know
Derek
he went to
Fisher
OKC.
as Utah and Lakers. I forgot. I forgot he even played in the freaking Golden State. It was long.
Yeah, those were the forgotten years.
It was yeah.
But yeah, OKC. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, there you go, man. You got one. You got one. I didn't know. I could not. I was not gonna dig Derek Fisher out, and he was one of my favorite players.
I didn't think you guys were going to get Corey, honestly. That was pretty quick.
Come on, man.
Corey.
Yeah, he got rings for days.
The dude didn't even play regular season. He just showed up for playoffs. He said, "I'm not putting all this work in for the marathon. Just show me up for the final lap. I'm here."
And you know what?
Hit 7 threes. Go sit down.
Above Jordan, you got Parker, Pippen, Ginobili, Brian O'Neal, Johnson, Scott, and then Jordan. And Rodman's right behind Jordan. Jordan has 119. Rodman has 116.
Yeah, I just thought.
And Iguodala had 107.
I was thinking about the 90s. So Jordan probably had the most in the 90s, but his 80s stint was like he got bounced out pretty quick before he got Pippen.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So.
Short stints.
And then I thought about Larry Bird because I mean Boston was always in the freaking playoffs. So.
Yeah, Bird's not even. Parrish is on here.
Yeah.
But Robert Parrish went to Chicago. Bird's not.
He did. I think he got a ring in Chicago. Robert Parrish.
I think so.
With the 96 to 8 Bulls.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think so.
Chief.
And Bird's back to go out, man. Who knows? Who knows?
But that's his fault. He's doing that diving for balls and jumping over bodies just to. Anyways. All right, man. That's good, man. I finally got stumped in 1 out of 5.
That's not the first time. Don't act like
one out of the 5.
You been stumped before.
1 out of the 5.
Oh man, we're gonna
I'm still 80%.
now.
That's a good percentage. 1 out of 80% is pretty good. So I got partial credit on that one.
You just pull that out of you. Talking about you 80%. Where you pull that from?
4 out of 5. I got 4 out of 5 names. Well, if you want to do 60, because I know it's
historical.
Oh, I'm talking about today. I mean, still a passing grade. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
I don't know. It's a passing.
I'm good.
You got 3 out of 5 actually. I called LeBron and I called Pippen. So
but I was gonna say LeBron too, but you kind of beat me to it. But that's fine.
Makes sense.
It's fine. So, but
he's perennial.
Still passing.
Anyways.
Thank you, man.
It's late over here for your boy. I'm already into the next day. So
okay. Well, we can go ahead and close up. Hold up, no, I gotta say my piece, man. Thanks for joining us.
Nobody wants to hear your piece.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening to this guy with this Adidas on right here. Mr. Unafflicted here. So, if you like to hear what he has to say, go ahead and hit the subscribe, go ahead and hit the like button. I know we're not gonna get no likes if that's a barometer. But, maybe there's that 1% that likes you. So, that 1%, please go ahead and hit the like, subscribe, tell a friend that your fave, Mr. Uneventful is your fave. So, and like I said, we're here every Wednesday, man. Check us out on the social medias, man. We're here every Wednesday. So until next Wednesday, or until further notice, we'll catch you on the flip side. So, deuces.